Before I go eating it all, I better show you guys. I've been given a few things. That was from someone else a while back. Box of chocolates. This one's actually from the brother-in-law's mum. Plum sauce made from. There's a lot of flaming white wine vinegar in it actually. But anyway, other people got me this one. Jerky, that is not cheap. It's actually New Zealand beef jerky. And why we can't make it here, I don't know, but anyway, it's come from New Zealand. And considering the amount of Japanese on the back and Arabic on the back, I assume that it's probably exported to a lot of countries. Anyway, and also staircase to the moon. It's out of Broome. We've got a tea towel. It's also from Broome. Now you're going to trip out on this stuff. Oh yes, and you can see it. Pure Australian Sandalwood shampoo. No shit. It's about 2 doses there. Made at what they call Mount Romance. A place called Mount Romance that uses the water from a massive, massive river up there. The biggest river, probably the biggest river in the country, I'd say, in terms of water volume, which is in the Northern Territory, but they pump it to Western Australia, where Mount Romance has sandalwood growing. They even showed me a hunk of sandalwood they had that was in cryovac plastic, but it absolutely stunk like sandalwood. A little circle about that big and about that thick. And I don't know how it stunk so strongly, even though it was still in cryovac plastic. No shit. Don't know if I mentioned that one. That's apricots. Not apricots, bloody mangoes that are grown in a nearby area. Dehydrated. And while we're on sandalwood soap as well. Now, intriguingly enough, this one place that makes this stuff, that giant plantation running off that huge river scheme, that one plantation, there's a whole stack of people invested in it. It's set up so you can, pay for the initial planting. Sandalwood is not just a tree, it's a parasitic tree. So you need the actual main tree, and then you need to inoculate it or whatever with sandalwood, and the sandalwood tree will grow out of the main tree. It's quite a long, drawn-out process that can take 15 to 25 years. But this place, that plantation, supplies 80% of the world's sandalwood. And let me tell you, it was, for a lot of people, it's a very worthwhile investment. And the fact of the matter is that they control the world market for sandalwood in many ways, because they have 80% of the supply of it. And the vast majority of it goes to India. And I think India grows the remaining 20%, or thereabouts anyway. Not 100% certain who grows the remaining 20%, but I would assume it's India. But 80% of it is grown in that plantation, and the vast majority of it just gets exported straight to India. And, of course, without a doubt, if you buy some sandalwood incense, it may very well have originated from that same plantation. Although sandalwood incense, I think, has got a very small amount in it. I couldn't believe this little thing is about, it's only about 3.5 inches diameter, and it was probably maybe about 5/8 of an inch thick. Completely sealed in plastic, and it was just reeking of blooming sandalwood. And it was just a tiny little slither, and you think, geez, a whole tree. If you got a flipping as thick as my arm, and bloody 8 inches long, you just about give a couple of people a heart attack with the smell. The amount, you know, it's just so fragrant, it's just hard to actually believe. But anyway, that was a little thing I got for looking after the house. Alrighty. I was going to go and get some diesel for the tractor. We had planned to go and pull out some box thorns around the jungle out there, tow some logs out and get rid of all this stuff in here that's on the opposite side of the laundry. Just ripped a whole lot of that out. That was a plan. I might add, I haven't been very persistent in putting videos up, or even doing a great deal of filming. I get online and piss around with the auction sites and look at a few other people's videos and then forget to even put any of mine public. Somebody here's had fleas. They got a little dose of that stuff, and I don't know if it really done its job or what. You know, the little stuff you pour in the back of their neck, or the back of the head rather. Anyways, it has been raining a fair bit lately, just the last few days. I'll put it like this. That bucket there, come over here. Only about a week ago. And as you can see, she's filling up fast. Give you a look at the rain gauge and you'll get the general idea in a second here. But it started to dry for a couple of days, and then we done the sheep, and then we thought, well, we'll be right, and then the rain's come back again. So here we are. I think it's, I don't know, about 9:30 or something, and there's still fog over there. Yeah, that's right. It's about 23.5 mil, 25.4, so about there where my fingernail is. That is an inch, so we've got almost an inch. I'll get rid of that now. Anyway, I was at the church garden, and as you've probably seen by now, got a bunch of this sprouting broccoli, and my stuff here that I don't know what to pour it over because everything's wet. My stuff here that didn't seem to have a very good head, and the plants ain't quite as big as they were in the church, although I suspect the church plants, they're in sand with mushroom compost. They got more of a space to put their roots. It doesn't dry out like lemon potting mix. They got irrigation systems on it, blah blah blah. They seemed a bit bigger than mine, which, as you know, I've grown from seed. And all the heads come out, or started to come out last week on them. And they're little lemon things, you know, about 2 inches wide. So I thought, good, I've seen this before. You have a small head. You give it 4 or 5 days and it grows from being 2 inches to being 8 inches. I gave it a whole week. And they grew from 2 inches to 3 inches. Hey, it's not any lack of fertiliser that made this not go as good as planned. It's just sprouting broccoli doesn't get a big head and a bunch of little sprouts that come up all along where the leaves are, like all these ones in between the main trunk and the leaf stalk. You get a small head. Now the dead giveaway was the size of your little things here, which are actually technically flower buds, which opened into yellow flowers. Those were, you know, about the size of these last week when they're 2 inches in size, and then when I come around and they're 3 inches in size, they were just the same, except the head had sort of started to branch out and spread itself out a bit more. Instead of being a tight bundle like that, it has started to go more like that, where it's spread out. Your obvious giveaway is when these things are so small that you can't see them as individual little lumps that are, 1/16 of an inch or whatever. They're just super duper fine, and they're so fine you can't even see the individual things. And then as they get bigger and get to this size where you can see them and they're all like 1/16 of an inch flower heads, that's when they're the 8 inches. And she said, oh, that was no good, well, we'll have to buy the right ones next time. And I said, hey, it wasn't just you. I said, I went in there and the only broccoli seeds I could see on the whole shelf were the sprouting broccoli, so that's what I grabbed. She went into the area where they've got all the flowers and all that, and they got vegetable seedlings, and she got the actual seedlings. And that was the only seedlings that were there, were the sprouting seedlings, not the full-size broccoli seedlings. Most likely, I assume so. Otherwise, I assume she would have grabbed the other one. But it seems to be like that. Just the last year or so, you'll always find the sprouting broccoli, but then you don't tend to find the normal broccoli unless you go to a dollar store or one of these other places that you generally don't go to for gardening supplies, or you generally, wouldn't be expecting to find high quality stuff. But that's a bit of a bum, really, I'm not saying that there weren't the right seedlings there for her, but I've got a feeling, because I looked through those sections and I realised, looking at their spinach, that my spinach was actually more further developed than the blasted stuff in the hardware store. And of course I have a look to, see what they've got that might be something new on the market that I haven't seen. And I'm pretty certain that when I was there, all I saw was just sprouting broccoli as well. But that's what she picked up, and I think that was probably all that was there to pick up. There's a place I look at the seedlings, or the same place she bought all the stuff for at the for the church garden. Anyways, I might have to find where the bloody hell I put all those box of seeds. I know I gave some away to someone a while back, but it was like a year and a half ago. I gave away some to a subscriber, and I'm stuffed to know where the bloody hell I left the boxes. But in those boxes is normal broccoli, and the seeds might be 5 years out of date, but you can still get some to germinate. As I found with the black Russian tomatoes last year, those seeds are at least 3.5 years out of date, and hey, 80% of them sprouted. So, and yeah, anyway. Our spinach here, I'm getting tempted just to rip it out altogether. Although it seems to be going fairly big. I might leave it for now. If it continues to grow, I mean, why not just leave it? Some of these I don't know if that's a little bit hard on the fertilizer, or they just... some of these other ones just haven't seemed to grow with quite the same speed. Just planted too late, I think, really. And as a result, some of the leaves are going yellow on them, and I think it's, those leaves are just old leaves. So old that they're sort of dying back. Because these have never sort of really got going to the same speed, but then the thing was, they were sort of planted, part way into winter, and it was sort of probably a bit too late. Anyway, there's some of the older stuff as well, and here's some of the older stuff. It seems to be firing pretty nicely. I must admit, I've went and bought a whole heap of spinach on the cheap as well, and then I've thrown that in a particular freezer, and I've got so much shit in my parents' freezer at the moment. There is lots and lots of spinach. So I ain't busting to pull any of these out and you know, trim the stems off, give them a wash and bag them up and throw them in the freezer either, because it's going to take me weeks to get through the spinach I've got already. Fired up the wood heater. I've been awake since about 4:30 AM and up and about. I've got another one of those $3 bags. I've got that much food in there again, it's just ridiculous, and I'm churning through blooming blueberry yogurt and flaming, you name it, mushrooms and cherry tomatoes and the oak leaf salad, and then the salad, the oak leaf lettuce and the oak leaf lettuce and cos lettuce I got out of the church garden yesterday, and yeah, surprisingly overstocked with greens at the moment. But anyway, that's some of that spinach beat. Now this is the pot that I try to plant a bunch in, and I mean they come a long time later, but bang, 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 that's my particular method, plant them in a ring around the outside. There's a smaller one behind that there, I don't know. You can quite see him. There you can. Yeah. And these other ones I got in smaller pots. I'm tempted to get some of this other spinach that's just going nowhere, and kale that got torn to bits, and other kale that got snapped off, and I sort of harvested and that, and put some of these, which are the bigger spinach beet. I mean, look at the size of that. Transplant some of these smaller pots. This one, I think, snapped off in the wind down there. It looked very limp one day. I think it was the actual wind that snapped the bloody stem, which is a bit of a disappointment. And oh, look at that. Little tiny pot. It's a decent size when I lift him up so you get a good idea of the perspective. Ooh. Look at that. This is the size of the pot. I should be transplanting these smaller pots into something else, is what I'm trying to say. Maybe some of these failed bastards that do not seem to want to grow properly. The size of the blasted thing. Some of these ones that just ain't going anywhere, tear them out and transplant some of those into the bigger pots that are just basically getting wasted. Anyways, yeah, that's what's going on. The kale, I clipped a few off that, and that's actually looking surprisingly good at the moment. I think these warm days it sort of stalls a bit, and you get a nice cool day, and it just likes the cool weather a bit more. Mightn't be a terribly stupid idea to try and, you know, with some of these things, if I was a real adamant fruit cake, I'd go and cover that with shade cloth during the hotter days, just to sort of suppress a bit of the warmth and stop them bolting as quick. The kale doesn't seem to like the heat, probably because it's been growing all winter and it's been kept nice and wet, and then get the warm days and it's not used to that sort of level of warmth, and tends to look a bit saggy on the warm days. But anyway, I'm not praying for it to stop raining, but at the same token, I'm not getting anything pulled out, and yeah, work's still going slow. I did get a good day in there, but he reckons usually by this time there's a lot more people calling through, and they're not getting as many, and he believes his father isn't getting much work either. It's just sort of a slow time comparative to most years, but I think there's talk of a housing price dump, and everybody might be holding out for this housing price dump. I think that's part of it. You do get a lot of renters that keep using you because of the way the rental market's structured here. Landlords are so frickin' hungry here, it's ridiculous. If you've been a loyal person, you know, loyal renter for years, they will have no problems, especially if it's sold and bought by another landlord. And a lot of landlords are just like this in general now. You rarely find one that is interested in keeping somebody in there for the long term. A lot of the contracts now only run for 6 months. and if they can milk another $15 a week out of you, they will boot you out on your ass to get someone else in for another $15 a week. Regardless of the fact that you might not have missed a week's rent for a long time. And it's quite common that we move people who... One lady there, you know, and this is very typical of them. Older lady, I reckon she'd be in her mid-70s. Now, how'd you be doing this in your mid-70s? Moved 4 times in 2 years. Another couple who was probably only a few years older than me. Both of them had a job. They'd moved, this was their 5th time moving in 2 years. And you tend to find that, you know, you always end up moving people who are renting, and there's a lot of stuff where you're moving boxes that they haven't even opened, sometimes in 5 years. And I tell you, I haven't even looked in this box for 5 years. And boom, 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 you just keep moving them because, hey, you know, nobody seems to last in a rental place for any more than 6 months without getting the boot, and then it's put up for lease again, just in the hope they'll get another $15 a week extra. And it's just a hungry flaming rental market. But people are buying houses, but there's an oversupply, they reckon, and there's going to be this is the Reserve Bank over here is warning of an oversupply in everywhere but right in the middle of Sydney. And there's never going to be enough in Sydney because so many people want to live in the middle of Sydney versus the amount of people you can actually, the amount of houses you can bloody put there, you know. So there's never going to be enough houses there, full stop. But a lot of these other joints, within the next 9 months or so, we're heading for an oversupply, and there's a lot of people who actually know that, especially seeing it appeared on TV. So they're all holding out, and the market is expected to dump. And yeah, anyways. Cold weather also has a lot to do with it because nobody wants to stand outside bidding in an auction when the weather's cold, and also nobody really feels like bidding in an auction if they're battling to get much work because the economy's not really running quite as good as it should at all. Yeah, that sort of stifles the housing market, but it's not really the price of houses, it's the velocity of the rental market, which is very high, and also the velocity of house sales, which has a lot to do with how much work they get at work. Having said that, they had a couple of old trucks there that were, one of them was very dodgy, and there was another one that, I'm not sure I even saw it in more than once. And then there's another one that's, was given a flaming unroadworthy thing over a technicality that meant that theoretically it was a wonder they ever got the thing on the road to begin with. It was your big box at the back, which they call your Pantech, was 18 inches longer than the chassis. And they got plates on it and drove it for flipping years like that, but then a particular hard-nosed cop picked up on it and that was the end of that one. So he sold a few trucks and he's bought another one. It's a 98 model Hino, very similar to one he's already got that's a 96 model. It looks almost identical, and he's busy working his way through a roadworthy list on that one at the moment. But even then, you know, there's still not enough work to... keeps his main guys going, but he's got about 3 guys like me who are sort of casual and just do bits and pieces, and 3 or 4 of us probably, more like. Anyway, everyone tells me, oh, well, you got plenty of time to work on this place, but fuck it, you know, I really got to get rolling on making money, you know. I've had, let's face it, I took a redundancy package at the radiator joint, and what happened after that? Ended up at blooming, there's another job there, but then I ended up at Chinese Boss's Vineyard, and that was a few months, and I got shafted on the tax there. He double dipped me on the tax, as in said he'd take tax out, didn't pay me a certain amount of money, which was supposed to be going to tax. Never went to tax, and at the end of the day I was working for $10 an hour there, because I had to pay another lot of tax out of money that's already been reduced for tax. And then there was the plasterers, and then there was the piggery. You know, plaster was only a couple of months. Piggery, 25 hours a week, and then, you know, that's over, and now we're limping along with this, and it's like, oh, shit. Promised a blooming plastics job, didn't come through. You know, get a job at this joint, all on the drip. It's just, I'm sick of, you know, this has been a couple of years now where I haven't been working 40-hour weeks, and it's not that I'm losing motivation, but I'm just sick of not having plenty of dough and being told I can keep doing stuff around here, but then you sort of, you know, you're just dragging along financially. You're not really making any decent steps, but I'm not sure that everybody else is in a brilliant position either, from some of the stories I've heard of somebody else my mum knows who, you know, qualified in all this stuff, spent years in doing reception work, and they've just sort of limped from one thing to the next and going full time, and then a few months later there'll be a restructure, or there's not enough work to keep you here full time, so they could cut back to 2 days a week, and you know, it just never sort of gets going for them either. But usually when things warm up, the economy warms up, but let's face it, internationally it's all flaming a bit sad on it at the moment. And yeah. Well, the variegated thistle's back. How bloody deep it is. To my knee there. Damn stuff. Sheep eat it though. In case you don't like variegated thistle, there's always stinging nettle, as you guys probably already know. Anyways. Oh, wind's getting to it. That one there I think's leaking out, but the rest are pretty full, but never mind all that. This is my junk storage area, by the way. Got a bunch of tadpoles. Ugh, get out of the wind. Got a bunch of tadpoles. Yeah, starting to form. There's a couple that are still sort of only the other week. Some of them were eggs, and some still are just round inside the egg. But we've got a few that are. See one piece there, and the other one hanging out there is basically they're all unfurled straight, and they're starting to wriggle. So somebody might get ideas of jumping in the water and trying to eat them. Am I right or am I right? I don't want you getting in the water trying to eat them, kitty, because then you're going to be all wet, and I don't want you to friggin' drown, not after I already lost one cat to who knows what. Anyways, that'll be stuffed. I think there's one right there. Might be a dead one. It's come out of its egg or whatever. There's a lot of little mite things or whatever, little bugs, all swimming around the outer edge. I don't want to drop this in the water, but yeah, you probably can't see them. Anyway, at some point when they all get active, I'm going to have to net them all up with my little butterfly net and stop stuffing me bloomin' spare plates up, buddy. Going to have to net them all up and get them in a bucket and basically take them down to the main pond / dam and set them free. We do have quite a few frogs here. Anyways, there's also a dead rabbit I've got to pick up because somebody else is probably going to try and eat it, and I'm not too certain exactly what the story is behind it, but yeah, As they say, you never eat something that's died, but somebody else will. And so, in case the damn thing's copped a bit of rabbit bait, I think we might have to just put it in the bin. Like the one we had that time that I threw the bloody pipe at. And it just freaking dropped dead on the spot. Gave a bit of a kick and that was it. It was all over in another blooming 3 seconds. I put that one in the bin too. That was the one that had the, what's it called again? Oh, the eyes all swell up and turn to shit. Myxomatosis. Anyway, I'll have to get on with that. There's one growling. Some of them are shutting up now, I'm getting there. Sandalwood growling. See one churning his way through the blooming reeds in here. Is that you, Elvis? Ho, ho, ho. That's ribwort plantain. Needless to say, edible weeds do pretty well down here in these damp conditions. That's the dead giveaway. That's one of the seed heads there. It'll get a whole bunch more of them, and they'll be a lot taller, and then it drops the seeds out. A bit like that. Except they still get longer still. So a whole bunch of them there. The golden thread. You sort of crush that, almost like put it through a roller or hit it with a hammer, get a bit of the juice to come out, and wrap it around a cut, and it's antibacterial. Good stuff. You can technically steam the leaves and eat it. Trust me, you don't want to bother. I've already been there. Tastes like shit. Well, actually I ate it raw and it tastes like shit, and I'm not going to risk even trying it steamed or anything. But I have wrapped it around cuts and stuff like that, and yeah. That was what they used to do back in the 1800s. In the United States, at least, anyway. It seems to grow reasonably well. It even grows at my house. Obviously, that's some of your little flowers coming out there. That's the sort of length of head you usually get on them. And that's a Scotch thistle. And that's Cape weed. Like a lot of these things, there's so much in Australia that South Africa, Scotland, it's no different when it gets to flaming animals either. So much stuff that's been brought in from foreign countries here, including white people like me. This Cape weed flower. We used to have a sheep that used to just like eating just the flowers. And it'd eat so many, just go around and eat all the flowers, and then there'd be more, you know, go from this to sort of, you know, out, and then it'd eat the next lot the next day. And it grows this whole area, and it ate so many that it had a yellow nose from all the pollen of just eating the flowers. Couldn't give a shit about the leaves, just eat the flowers.